Welcome to Awesemo Fantasy Football. Are you tired of the industry consensus? Are you sick of that groupthink mentality? Then try our data-driven approach from the world's #1 daily fantasy football player, Alex Awesemo Baker. Alex has loaned his projections expertise to creating our first ever set of premium season-long fantasy football rankings. Head over to awesemo.com to find out more about our different approach to fantasy football. Now let's dive into how those rankings would attack drafting from the 110. At the 110, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the pick here. Every draft room seems to be different on how they view and approach Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He typically goes inside the top 10, but this league had 9 players who didn't want the Chiefs lead back. That's their loss. Kansas City backs have scored 19 touchdowns per season over the past 3 years. Now the team is without Damian Williams, they're without LaShawn McCoy, and DeAndre Washington and Darwin Thompson are very soft barriers to Clyde Edwards-Helaire owning a large share of those 19 scores. Awesemo's rankings actually have Lamar Jackson as a slightly better pick here, but taking CH gives us the upside of getting both because ADP usually allows us to go with Lamar Jackson in the second round. Unfortunately, this doesn't happen to be one of those drafts, so Travis Kelce at the 203, a perfect consolation prize. He's just simply the best tight end by a clear margin in fantasy football right now. He's finished as the league's top tight end in 3 of the past 4 seasons. And the one season he missed, he was the tight end too. You just can't find positional advantages at tight end like you can with Travis Kelce. At the 310, we would have loved to have gotten a Patrick Mahomes stack here, but it doesn't end up coming to fruition. So we take Chris Carson, James Conner, and Todd Gurley. Other bell cow style running backs were on the board. And Awesemo's rankings generally like all of those guys, but Carson does have an interesting advantage where he doesn't have the high injury risk that we see with Todd Gurley or James Conner. He's expected to be fully healthy entering week 1, has little competition for backups like Todd Gurley does, but James Conner can't say that too. So he probably has the lowest downside of the trio. With Clyde Edwards-Helaire yet to take a snap in the NFL, it does make sense to also build in some floor at this pick, which does fall in line with Chris Carson. So he's the pick here at 310. At 403, Robert Woods. An alternative was Leonard Fournette, but we have enough of those bell cow but maybe low efficiency backs on the team, so we go with Robert Woods. Robert Woods is a great floor option as this team's first receiver because he is his own team's first receiver. Last season, we saw him lead the Rams in yards and targets, and that's something that really goes unnoticed with how much hype guys like Tyler Higbee and Cooper Kupp are getting. So quietly getting a team's #1 receiver in Robert Woods here was the move. At the 510, T.Y. Hilton is the pick. Alternatives here are Kareem Hunt, DAndre Swift, these young upside backs, but we continue to hammer the wide receiver position in the middle rounds to make up for not getting them in the first few rounds. So T.Y. Hilton really not getting enough credit for how explosive he has been throughout his career. Julio Jones is the only active player with more 150-yard games than Hilton's 12, and Hilton has hit that mark in 10% of his contests. Phillip Rivers isn't a world beater at this point, but he is still far better than Jacoby Brissett, who T.Y. Hilton played with last year. So the upgrade is going to be noticeable, and we should get some massive boom games out of Hilton in 2020. At the 603, DeAndre Swift makes it back, so there you have it. The Lions have obviously struggled over the past, decade to put a real rushing attack together, but they haven't had a back like DeAndre Swift yet. Swift was used in all facets of the game at Georgia. He racked up over 2,000 yards on the ground and 513 through the air just in his final 2 seasons. With multiple running backs on this roster, we can even afford to sit Swift on the bench for a game or two to see how much he's going to get used and then get him in the lineup once he breaks out. At the 710, Dak Prescott rarely makes it here, but man, we are so happy that we get that value because he quietly looked like peak Russell Wilson last year. He threw for 4,900 yards and 30 scores, and he posted an adjusted yards per attempt of 8.4. He also gives a little rushing value. He has those 277 yards last year and an extra 3 scores. The addition of CeeDee Lamb in the first round should help keep any regression coming for him off his back and give that blistering pace, that 4,900 yards and 30 scores. He should be able to repeat that or even exceed it because he really is on an incredible offense. So we go with him at the 710. At the 803, Brandon Cooks is the pick here. Alternative was just doubling up on our Dallas Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb, but Lamb typically falls farther, so we're comfortable taking Cooks. Cooks averaged nearly 1,200 yards and 8 scores per season from 2015 to 2018, and he didn't miss a single game over that stretch. Last year, Cooks missed 2 games, and he looked pretty hobbled in the rest of his games. If he's healthy, however, those 4 years of outstanding production say he should crush with Deshaun Watson as his quarterback, lobbing him those accurate deep balls. So at the 803, it's a good value to get Brandon Cooks. At the 910, CeeDee Lamb does make it back here. It was pretty expected. He typically goes closer to this range than that early 8th round. So CeeDee Lamb gives us our Cowboys stack, and we have so much invested in taking Dak in the 7th round. We do want to double up on getting more Cowboys. Lamb left Oklahoma as a junior after dropping over 1,300 yards and 14 scores in his final season. Then the Cowboys confirmed that he is incredibly talented by taking him with the 17th overall pick. This mock draft, however, this selection is largely based on the game theory because Lamb is still not quite a value per Awesemo's projections, but it's worth it to make a reach just to get that stack potential. At the 10:03, Phillip Lindsay. Lindsay isn't projected to have a crazy role or even a fantasy relevant role in Denver as long as Melvin Gordon is getting the majority of the touches, but he wasn't really projected to do much in the NFL at all, period. Then Lindsay goes out and rushes for over 2,000 yards, and they're the second most ever for an undrafted player through their first 2 seasons. We've seen Lindsay defy expectations before, and if Gordon struggles to acclimate to Denver, Lindsay's role could expand rapidly. So with our Cowboys already on the roster, Blake Jarwin is probably who we'd be targeting at tight end in the next few rounds. He's a great way to leverage Prescott having a great passing season without having to pay for Gallup or Thomas going absolutely nuts. With Jason Witten gone, Jarwin is set to take the majority of the team snaps at tight end, and he has crazy athleticism to dominate his opponents, especially in the red zone. So we could capitalize on some crazy Dak touchdown games. Guys, that's going to do it for another Awesemo Fantasy Football video. Make sure you like and comment with your favorite or least favorite pick made in this mock draft. Everybody, thanks for tuning in, and don't hesitate to head on over to awesemo.com/fantasy football to sign up for our draft kit, which includes a bunch of awesome stuff, our rankings, cheat sheets, breakouts, sleepers, and busts, and our draft wingman tool, which helps you build optimal lineups for your best ball and season-long leagues. You get all of this for just $29.95, so head on over. Thanks for tuning in.